Welcome to the Dream Huge podcast, where we'll talk with real estate investors, entrepreneurs, business leaders, athletes, and more to inspire you with their success stories so you can work hard, never give up, and dream huge. And now, let's start the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Dream Huge podcast. Man, super excited for this one today. Man, we love to share success stories from other huge dreamers, folks in the real estate business, entrepreneurs, movers, shakers, influencers, and more. And hopefully these stories will help to motivate and inspire you to also dream huge, baby. So we are joined by the one and only fantastic co-host, number one sales agent in the entire Mansfield MLS, in only his, how many years in the business?
3 years?
3 years in the business, man. He's a killer. They broke the mold with this guy, JP, John Pavlansky.
What is going on, Pete? Man, it's a pleasure. We're not on different sides of the camera today. We're sitting right next to one another. And like you said, super excited for this one. Excited to talk with our guest today. But I do have one question before we dive into our guest.
Yes.
Pete, how are you, my man?
I'm good, man. I'm excellent as always. You know that. I am doing excellent today. Let me get to our very special guest. Owen Garrity is with FPW Media. That you can find him at fpwmedia.com online. We're going to talk some marketing. We're going to talk about how some marketing that he does ties into real estate and along with AI. You know, that's a great topic these days, along with a little entrepreneurship. And then we're going to get into Owen's story, and he can tell us a little bit about how he has got to where he is today. So, Owen, welcome to the show. Dive right into it, buddy. What do you guys do at FPW Media?
Thanks for having me. So at FPW Media, we're a fully vertically integrated creative studio. So we do everything that a traditional marketing agency does, like brand design, graphic design, web, digital, SEO, SEM. In addition to, we have our own film studio. So we have our own production house. We do AR, VR, photo and video. And then we have a merch and physical experiences division. So think, everything from a pen to a trade show booth and everything in between. We do that as well. And what makes us unique is that it all is under one physical roof. Almost all of our services are in-house. So we have a fantastic team of 50 full-time employees that make it happen for us.
So you really, man, I know entrepreneurs struggle with that, branding, especially all of those things, and getting them to kind of integrate, but also get that consistency throughout all of those things. And it sounds like you can really help folks out with that. Do you see folks coming to you early on in business, mid-stage? Where's your bread and butter as far as clients?
Yeah, so we primarily work with what I would consider like large family-held companies all the way up to publicly traded. So generally speaking, we work with companies that are, 50 plus million in revenue and up, up to the large multinational. And then there are a few exceptions to that where we have, challenger brands, somebody who's in, the tech space or has come up with a very novel product that is, in the fundraising stage. They're scaling really quickly. They're going to be the company of tomorrow. We love to work with those brands as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. Owen, what do you see? Because obviously you're working with a multitude of different brands and companies. What do you see has been, and is it different for each company? What do you see is the biggest ROI that you've seen from your standpoint of your marketing strategies?
Yeah, man, that's a hard question. I think it's very different by industry, right? Of course, but some through lines, are as follows: that really consistency across brand message, right? I think people get really caught up in what is the fad of today from a marketing perspective or a marketing technology perspective. And so then they chase that, right? And what we find is that it's flash in the pan. It may work for them and provide that return on investment for a month or two. But if it's not part of a more holistic strategy and they're not actually investing in brand building, it is going to be that very short-lived effect, so that when they look at the year-end financials, oh, wow, we spent all this money on marketing, but we didn't really net move the needle very much. And what we find is that without that holistic end-to-end approach, people are just not getting the return on investment that they want.
You mentioned brand building. If my marketing budget is unlimited, what is the best way to build the brand?
Yeah. So we always think it starts with story, right? The WIFM, what's in it for me or what's in it for your customer? Why does somebody care or why should they care? And so what we always work with our clients to help them understand is who are they trying to speak to and what is important to that group of people or those groups of people. Because ultimately, to get somebody to stop scrolling on Instagram or to actually click on an ad, there has to be some sort of value given to that person, right? We live in this world where there's so many options in any industry, right? Like take real estate for an example, right? There are in any market a bazillion real estate agents. But the ones that stand out and stand the test of time are the ones that are consistently offering the maximum value to their clients, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean lowest commission or lowest price. If we're talking about a product based company, we're talking about the maximum value that they're actually providing that value day in, day out. We want the marketing to represent that. And we want the marketing to actually add value. That could be educating, that could be delighting, that could be making somebody feel something, that could be inspiring FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. It could be all these different things, but we're hooking them in some emotional capacity. And that's where we're actually going to see things like brand building occur, is if we can connect with customers on more than just a, hey, here's our ad, look at it.
Awesome. Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. I mean, from my perspective. Now, Owen, you've got 50 employees, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
So how long have you actually been doing this, and what got you into this marketing world?
Yeah, so I had a really non-traditional upbringing. I started doing professional photography when I was 15 years old. First picked up a camera at 11. It was like the thing that I really wanted to do, and it's the only thing I really took to as a child. And so by the time I was in my like late teens coming up out of high school, I was already working with a lot of brands in our area. And I was working hand in hand with a bunch of agencies. And so I got a firsthand experience to how, generally speaking, in my view, most agencies suck. And the experience is really terrible for their clients. It's a lot of talk, it's a lot of bluster, it's a lot of ego, not necessarily so much results. And the experience itself isn't customer service centric. And so as I got a little further in the photography side of my career, I had the opportunity to do some non-photography projects with some clients that we were working with. And so I brought in contractors to staff those. And then from there, the idea of what we call the unagency was born, which is let's turn the model of the traditional agency on its head. Let's do things very customer first. Let's do things very customer centric. Let's make it all about the experience and the results. None of the ego, none of the BS that happens with most agencies. And that's what we've built on. We started the agency in 2013 and have been scaling it since.
That's beautiful. Isn't it wild, Owen? I tell people this all the time with being in real estate. Isn't it wild just doing the right thing, and the almost basic bare minimum can make you stand out against competition? Like you said, we just want to give a new experience to our customer and make it customer focused. Shouldn't we all?
I know. And what's crazy is I have my phone in my hand. It's always with me. I tell all of our people to be the top in what you do, all you have to do is just be really accessible, right? Like it's so crazy, but so many people aren't. I consistently hear even today from our clients that the thing that they appreciate about us is if they call me, I answer. Mm-hmm. It's like my other agency doesn't answer, but you do. And it's really just truly that simple. I mean, I think people love to overly complicate it, but it's if you're willing to put in the time and you have people who are passionate about what they do that can help you build upon your early success, as long as you keep doing that, everything else is going to work itself out.
Crazy. Answer your phone, follow up with people, and do right by them before you put their interest before yourself, and you'll have success. It's a funny world.
You said it, Owen, and don't fluff me with it. Actually do it. Well, these agencies were saying they talk the talk, but when it comes down to it, are you going to make time to take care of your customer and really put their best interests first?
Absolutely. And, nobody's perfect. Our agency, we make mistakes. We've had big mistakes with current clients, and we've had big mistakes with past clients. But what I always think is that those are the moments that define a working relationship. It's how do you deal with the worst day in that working relationship? And for us, it's always, we're going to do everything we possibly can to make it right. That doesn't mean that We won't lose clients over the years. That doesn't mean that we're always going to make somebody whole in the way that they want to be, but we're going to try. We're going to do everything we can to always make that mistake up and to deal with it. And that's just so core to what we do. And I think it's applicable to any industry, right? If that's one of your core tenets, you're going to have customers that are going to be more loyal.
Absolutely. Absolutely will.
What type of, you deal with some big companies, it sounds like, the successful ones, the ones that have the great marketing campaigns. Can you throw a percentage of gross revenue that they're spending on marketing?
Yeah, a lot less than you think. I think a lot of people assume that the old adage where you're spending 1% of revenue on marketing holds true. And I would say that by and large, for a lot of the companies that we deal with, that's not the case. They're spending, maybe 0.5% of gross revenue. Now, if you're a small challenger brand, you got to be spending 5 or 10%, right? Or if you're a products-based business, maybe you're spending 15% on total customer acquisition. But what we see is that, these really large brands that have been around for 50 years or 100 years that are in established industries, they're maybe spending, 0.75% of their revenue or something like that on marketing a year. Now, obviously that revenue is in the billions at that point. So it's all proportional, right? The bigger you get, I think that the percentage goes down because you just have the economies of scale at that.
So I personally have some buddies, and I've got a real close buddy who does a lot of my marketing stuff for me as an agent. And he's more of a videographer type, and I'd say a full-scale marketing company and business at this point. What would you say was the biggest thing, if you went through that, to get from just helping a couple people out and doing everything yourself to growing to 50 employees and working with companies that are doing $1 billion in revenue in a year?
Yeah, a couple things. One is never say no. Right? This is something that's been incredibly impactful for my career and in building the company that we built. Is if somebody comes to us and says, hey, we need help with this, we're going to say yes, and we're going to figure it out, whether we bring in the talent to do that or whether we figure it out internally. Number two is just being willing to work harder than everybody else. Right? Like if we talk about that, it's literally just saying, okay, I'm going to put in more hours this week than my closest competitor is going to. And that really know that I can do that over a really long period of time while I'm building the company.
Makes sense. Makes total sense. Yeah. And I think that could help as well from the perspective. Like I said, I've got a buddy that's kind of in that beginning stage of really trying to bolster into the marketing agency side of things versus just doing videography. So
that's great advice. And that's what good entrepreneurs do. They figure it out as they go. They say yes and figure it out. And those are the ones that succeed. The ones who fail are the ones that say, oh, I'm going to need some time. I'm not sure about that.
Absolutely.
So, that's great advice.
Yeah, no, you're good. So Owen, obviously you kind of gave us the starting point and how you got to where you were with the company and everything now and where you are at now. What's next? What's the next goals? Where do you want to get to? And where's the exit at?
Yeah. So what we're focused on right now is, in addition to our core businesses that are obviously all, for the most part, service-based, is we've developed a couple of one-off software products for clients. And so we're working on scaling that part of the business so that we start to create software as a service as one of the legs of the company, because we have some really very, very talented individuals who have demonstrated that we have the capability and the expertise to do things that nobody else has done for our clients, right? Where they come to us and they have a specific problem and they need a piece of software that's going to solve that. All still in the marketing sphere. But then we're looking at that as like, okay, let's think a little bit bigger and start to create stuff that's purely going to be licensed. It's not going to be just for our clients. It could be even for our competitors to use. And that's really what's next on that side of the business. And then on the more traditional bread and butter services, it's just to continue to scale, right? We're definitely not stopping at, our current headcount. We're not stopping at our current square footage. It's okay. Let's continue to grow and hopefully continue to grow quickly.
Fantastic. Thank you, Owen Garrity. We're already up on the time limit. We had a little technical difficulty getting started. So thank you for your patience and thank you for joining the Dream Huge podcast. Anything you want to leave us with?
I would just say that best way to connect with me and FPW is at fpwmedia.com or my personal website, which is Owen Garrity, Garitty.
Very good. Social media?
Same for both, just on all the major platforms at FPW Media or at Owen Garrity.
Very good. Final thoughts, JP?
It's super interesting to see what you've built just over the time of an span of 12 years. So kudos to you, Owen. And I really appreciate just hearing some of the insights on you and your business. Definitely looking forward to seeing your growth continue, my man.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you, Owen. Thank you for your time. And thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to the Dream Huge podcast. And as always, remember to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, remember to visit fpwmedia.com for all of your marketing needs. And as always, remember the rules. Work hard, never give up, and dream huge, baby. Let's see the guns, Owen. Yeah. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to the Dream Huge podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. For more inspiring content, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Dream Huge Realty and on TikTok at Dream Huge Inc. Until next time.